Are you a female Uber driver who only wants to pick up women? Well, Uber has finally addressed your concern, and they have released a new feature in their app that will only allow you to be matched up with female passengers, so long as you're in Saudi Arabia. Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur, and one of Uber's most requested features that we really have never gotten until today is an option for female Uber drivers and passengers to only accept passengers that are female. And there's many reasons for this, and I have to say, if this feature existed, I would tell Katie to use it all the time. And I want to be careful how I word this here, because I don't want to act like women are not powerful. I don't want to act like women can't take care of themselves. But there is a reality when you get a very strong man, a drunk strong man especially, in a car with a female who is not armed, things can go bad really fast, even if the woman can successfully defend herself. It was for that reason you saw companies like CJ Go pop up that advertise, hey, only female drivers, only female passengers, which then opened up a lot of, discrimination questions, and they eventually went under. And Uber and Lyft have never really addressed this before, and I know why they don't. Because to actually, include this feature that I think a lot of people do want would almost be to suggest that their product is not safe, which it isn't, and that's becoming more and more apparent the longer we talk about them. But they don't want themselves to be admitting that their product is unsafe. But they are making an exception for Saudi Arabian, because as it says here on CNN Business, Uber rules out feature for women drivers to request women riders in Saudi Arabia. Now, the reason that they're doing this, if you are familiar with Saudi Arabia at all, is, to be kind, the country has a very unique and complicated relationship with the female sex. That's all I'm going to say about it. I've got opinions. Now's really not the time, but we all know it's complicated. And so Uber rolled out this feature. Anyway, it says right here, Uber now lets women drivers in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia opt to pick up women passengers. The company announced a new feature called Women Preferred View this week after months of local research into the preferences and concerns of women drivers in the region, according to the company. The effort is part of a broader push by Uber to cater to women drivers in the region. Saudi Arabia ended its ban on all women driving in the region last June. Like I said, Saudi Arabia's relationship with the female sex is complicated. Saudi Arabia places many restrictions on women and bans the mixing of sexes at public events, but some of its constraints have been eased in recent years. In June, Uber rolled out a registration portal for Saudi women to learn more about its initiatives for women in the country. Uber said it conducted a recent study that found the majority of prospective women drivers were only interested in driving women riders. Quote, this newly introduced feature will open new doors and opportunities for women as Uber driver partners while being conscious of local cultural norms, said Abdel Atif Wakad. I don't know how to pronounce that, I'm sorry. General manager of Uber Middle East and North Africa in the company's announcement about the feature. The company said it has no intention of rolling out the feature to other markets as of now, because of course not. It just makes perfect sense. I mean, people here, I know people who never, ever even considered driving for Uber because of this. They didn't want strange men in the car because, you know what, some of my friends are frankly very attractive and they get hit on. Like a lot, they get hit on. And they don't want to do Uber where they're going to pick a bunch of drunk guys who might hit on them. Now, some people might say, well, what if a girl hits on them? I'm sure that's a little different because here's the thing. As an Uber driver, when I was doing it, I was hit on by both men and women. And here, without sounding homophobic, it was easier to say no to the women than the men, because the men were usually far more aggressive. And even if there was a situation where a woman was pretty aggressive on me, I'm not a strong guy, and I could defend myself against a drunk woman for the most part. But when I got a drunk man in there and he was, hitting on me, it's like that. I had to be careful because they were usually stronger than me. So, yeah, it just would make sense for this feature to come everywhere else. But again, I know why they don't want to do it. They don't want to do it because it suggests that their product is not safe. They're about to go public. They didn't want to admit this when they were private. They certainly don't want to admit this now that they're going to go public. But anyway, the women's preferred feature was designed specifically for Saudi Arabia based on extensive research done to understand the needs of women in a country going through a significant cultural transformation. Yeah, but you could easily do that extensive research here and find out we want it here too. In the U.S., customers and lawmakers are urging ride-hailing companies to roll out more features to address safety issues for Uber and its chief U.S. competitor, Lyft, in light of safety-related incidents. The South Carolina House recently passed a bill that would require rideshare vehicles to display illuminated signs in the wake of the death of a college student who got into a vehicle she believed was her Uber in late March. I don't know what this has to do with any of this. Another effort, a MoveOn.org petition, called for the ability for riders to select women drivers only. See, that's important. That's important. In fact, let's open this real quick and let's just see how many signatures do we have. Okay, they have 14,494 signatures and the goal is 15,000. You know what? Here's what we're going to do. We are going to sign. Well, I'll finish this later, obviously, since it's asking for my phone number. But yeah, I'm going to sign that because I think that feature should be in the Lyft app. It should be in the Uber app too. In August, when the petition first circulated, safety advocate Cindy Southworth, executive vice president at National Network to End Domestic Violence and safety board member at Uber, told CNN Business that this would be difficult to execute. Although rideshare companies can confirm the identities of their drivers based on their applications, it's difficult to do the same with passengers, Southworth said. For example, a man in theory could use this feature to prey on female drivers. But this isn't an issue in Saudi Arabia? Uber, let me ask you this. Let me just ask you this real quick. This is why I'm glad we did a couple fun videos before I got to this one, because this is the stuff that pisses me off. You have a need in Saudi Arabia, and faced with not having some customers, you fixed it. Apparently, Saudi Arabians won't abuse this. Apparently, Saudi Arabians want this. Apparently, it is morally right to have this feature in Saudi Arabia. Come to America, Canada, whatever. We don't need any of that. We don't need any of that. People don't want this here, or we can't execute, but you can execute it in other countries. We just can't execute it here. No. You know what? Here's the thing. Here's what the problem is. You don't want to. You just don't want to. For the reasons I listed, and maybe a few I hadn't thought about, but you just do not want this to be a thing. That's all there is to it. And he continues, conceptually, the idea of being able to pick the gender of your driver is appealing, she said, liking it to a preference for female doctors when given the choice. In its filing to go public last week, Uber addressed safety incidents and people impersonating drivers. Uber warned investors about a safety transparency report it expects to release this year, which will include data on claims of assaults and other incidents on its platform. Uber pledged to release the report nearly a year ago in response to a CNN investigation that found at least 103 Uber drivers in the United States had been accused of assaulting or abusing their passengers in recent years. So yeah, here's the thing. I'm glad that this app is being made. It's a necessity if they're going to launch in Saudi Arabia. It absolutely is a necessity. Again, I am not going to get into why. I think it's pretty common knowledge why, but if you don't know, it's complicated. Look it up. It's They needed to do this if they wanted to successfully launch in Saudi Arabia. But the flip side is like, this is a feature we've been asking for here. And we've been asking for it for a long, long time. And now we know they have the capabilities to do it. They have the capability to launch this feature. They just don't want to. They just don't want to. And that's Uber for you. And I'm not surprised anymore. I'm just not. This is what Uber does. I mean, they don't do anything we could actually use until they're forced to do it. And that's a pretty crummy thing to come from a company that says, we're partners. Yeah, we're not partners. But anyway, I'd love to know what you think about all of this. Are you from Saudi Arabia? I don't know if I have any Saudi viewers here, but what do you think of this? And what do you think about the idea of us not being able to get it? I would love to know. So comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy my videos, consider becoming a Patreon member. It's totally optional, of course, but even as little as $1 a month goes a long way to helping the channel run smoothly, and you get access to my Patreon's exclusive blog. And if you want to save money on gas, because the gas is rising, check out the Get Upside app below. It's free. You save money on gas, and you can save your friends money on gas. It is a wonderful app. Highly recommend it. And check out my Apptrepreneur Vlogs channel. It's fairly new, but new content is being uploaded on a weekly basis. And finally, if you want to chat with me or other people of the rideshare community, check out the Apptrepreneur Hangouts on Facebook. We've been approving a lot of people and having a blast. And finally, flame responsibly. Have a good one.